Hey, my name is Matt Warner, and I am the designer, developer, and owner of the Inspection Academy. We are one of the 9 TREC-approved qualifying education schools for home inspectors. And I wanted to tell you a little bit about why I built the school and how it can help you become a licensed inspector in Texas. When I took my classes originally in 2019, I kind of did some research and looked around and found that there were only about 5 or 6 schools, and half of those schools were from out of state. So I knew I wanted to pick an in-state school. It only made sense. If you're going to learn about Texas, you should probably learn from someone who lives in Texas. Um, so I tried to look at a few different schools, and I found out that there were only 2 options for home inspection schools. One, you could do the classroom. So if you had 4 weeks to take your classroom courses, you can literally just go from 8 o'clock in the morning on Monday till 5 o'clock on Friday and get your first 40-hour class in the first week, your second 40-hour class in the second week, 2 20-hour classes in your third week, and the 24-hour and 10-hour classes in your last week, and you can be done in 4 weeks. However, the issue outside of having the time to go take classes for 4 weeks and not work isn't something most people can do, so it makes it a little bit challenging. The alternative was to do the at-home inspection school, which in 2019 consisted of me driving to the Galleria in Houston and picking up 70 pounds of books. The stack was, and it came with an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper that said, read this book first, then get online and take this test, and then read this book and get online and take this test. When you get through all 6 of the books, you had to go to a 3-day in-person class with a test at the end that you had to pass before you can move on to the ride-alongs. I went to the class on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and when I got to the class, I noticed over the course of the first 2 days that there was another person in class that knew a lot about the answers the teacher was asking. So at one of the breaks, I went and asked him, how do you know so much? And he looked me square in my face and said, this is the 5th time I'm taking this course, and I still haven't passed that test yet. And it clicked to me that the education system's broke. If you think about the 2 ways that I could have gotten my education, was one, to sit in that classroom for 4 weeks and literally drink water from a fire hose. So much information. You're covering probably 15 to 1600 pages of book information in the course of 4 weeks. So the difficulty in that is if you don't have a tremendous background in construction or in the systems and components of a house, then the likelihood of you remembering a majority of that information is pretty low. So even though they provided the 4 weeks of in-person education, they're done. They've given you 154 hours of credit work. Now it's on you to go back to those books and start reading and try to figure out how to retain all of that information. Because the honest truth is, becoming a home inspector, the test isn't filled with information that's hard to understand. It's not brain surgery or rocket science. It is just a lot of information. So when you're done with that 4 weeks, you've got to figure out a way to remember that. And that's why almost 50% of the people that ever take that test fail. Alternatively, you can just start with the books and be left with the books and try and figure out how to remember it, which isn't education. Neither one of those are education. It's just information dump. They're just telling you what could be on the test, but they're leaving it to you to figure out how to remember all that. Education is working with information until you understand it and can utilize it. So no one is educating home inspectors. The next option that they came up with was their online learning platform, but what it really boils down to is videos of their in-person classes. So they're really just providing lectures that also extend 154 hours. Once you've gotten through the 154 hours of instructional time, they're done. They don't provide you anything else. Now, the schools do provide what they call exam prep or exam review, but if they were doing so well, their success rates would be much better. I built my school because I knew what was missing. No one is teaching. No one's allowing students to work with the information. So my school was built to provide that opportunity. So instead of just giving you books to read, what we do is we're going to take the books written by the same people that write the national exam, and we're going to go through them section by section. not chapter by chapter. We're going section by section. So you're doing 3 to 5 minute reading assignments. Then you're going to have an activity to work with that information so that it starts to stick into your long-term memory. We provide a variety of activities from sequencing, matching, identification, inspection scenario, multiple choice, true, false. You're going to work with this information in a variety of ways, which should help you create long-term memory and help your retention. My goal is to make sure 100% of my students pass that test. I want everyone that comes through this school to be able to pass that test on their first try.